everyone, and welcome to Living Clean. I'm your host, Allan, and joining me in studio this evening, our monthly friend from the Bay Ridge Family Center, Mark Laing. How you doing?
Glenn. I'm doing just peachy keen. How about yourself?
I'm doing well. Peachy keen.
Peachy keen.
You are doing peachy keen.
That is the official season of Christmas word, peachy keen. Okay?
Peachy keen.
I'll be changing it in January.
There's no peaches in December.
Was it a summer in
Candy
December? Yeah, I hate winter.
Do you?
Yeah.
Does it depress you?
Yeah, it gets me depressed. Snow only looks good on Christmas cards. And, cold.
Yeah. Okay.
Yuck.
Alrighty. And also joining us in studio, will have to tolerate us for the next hour, is Colleen Allan. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Tonight on the program, we're going to be talking about addiction and depression. In particular, I know the last time we talked about depression, we had a lot of calls on bipolar, and we would certainly welcome those calls if people want to talk about that, anything to do with depression. In particular, we're going to be talking about postpartum depression. So obviously this is dealing with a female type of depression, because that's what postpartum is.
Well, did you know, actually,
What?
males can get postpartum depression?
Can they?
Yes, they can.
Guess I shouldn't have said that before I checked that one out, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
How did they get that? In all seriousness.
Yeah, it's, when we think of postpartum depression, we always just think of the women getting it. But there have been research studies now that have shown that actually men, after a birth, can also go through a period of depression.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So
I'm glad I have the shows, guys.
there you go. Now, I mean, I think, for the most part, we think about depression as a thing that women generally go through. But nonetheless,
I'll outline postpartum a little bit for us, just so the viewers have a little bit of an idea.
I can't do that, Glenn.
No? Great.
Well, there's not a lot of difference between postpartum depression and just a general depression. I mean, it's this period, first of all, that goes on more than 2 weeks of just feeling empty inside. There's a difference between feeling sad. Sad is when I didn't win the Lotto 649 on Friday night, or my puppy dog died. I'm sad.
Mm-hmm.
Emptiness is just a place of, I got no energy. I just don't care whether the sun comes up, goes down. I've withdrawn from life.
Yeah.
It's like an indifference to life.
Crying at a drop of a hat.
Well, and there can be crying, and certainly in postpartum depression, for women, you'll see that frequently. The other thing with postpartum depression, just to mention this, is that it can happen anytime within the first year after birth.
Right.
So it's not just something she has the baby and then next week, oh, look, it's time for postpartum. It can happen later. Generally speaking, it lasts for about 6 months, and it goes as quickly as it comes, so to speak. Not that 6 months is pretty quick, but compared to other forms of depression. First-time moms, more likely to get it than if you've had a few children. Percentage population-wise, 10 to 14%. Some will say 1 in 1,000. So there's a lot of similarities with just general population of depression and postpartum depression. Symptomology-wise, they have difficulty looking after yourself. Certainly now that you've got a baby, you can't look after the baby. No energy, frustration, anger, marital problems. All of these types of things going on. So, that's happening. Interestingly enough, 700 BC, first time it was recorded.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Hippocrates, the father of medicine. He was the guy who was writing about sort of women's mental health and was noticing this strange behavior in women after giving birth. So, it's a, at 10 or 14%. Now, some people will say it's 1 in 1,000 births. There's about 300,000 births in Canada every year, 300 to 400,000 births every year. So, that's about 30,000 people, moms who possibly could have, prone to that. Now, out of that, some of that percentage may actually be a bona fide depression.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. One of the things that we talk about it on this program a lot of obviously living clean, and we talk a lot about addiction and recovering from addiction. And Colleen is just not a guest on the program. Colleen is also my wife. And
My condolences.
Thank you.
Mark said he's going to take the show over and start counseling Colleen and asking her how she ever fell into that trap.
Should we ask the viewers if they want to know the truth about Glenn and to call in and ask for that information now, or should we just deny that right up to the top? I think we should just deny it right at the top, okay?
Yes, absolutely.
It's safer that way.
Yeah.
Anyway, what we wanted to talk about this evening, and really, this is a program, we talked about it on the website, we've talked about it with some people, you and I have been talking a little bit about it, obviously Colleen and I have been talking about it as well, and it's something that we think is going to garner a lot of discussion. And so what I want to do is I want you as a viewer to get to know Colleen a little bit, because Colleen to me is, I've said this on many shows, Colleen is my hero. Colleen is my wife, which should constitute being a hero right away. But she's obviously the mom to our 3 kids, and she does a wonderful job, and she's just come such a long way from the first time we met till now. And obviously before we met, your journey in recovery began, and I'd like you to talk a little bit about your journey in recovery, because yes, we did meet at a rehab center.
We broke the rules.
Yes, we broke a couple of rules, but we won't get into that because we don't want to encourage relationships in the first year. No. But ours has worked. Colleen, you are a recovering alcoholic.
Yes.
And cocaine addict.
Yes.
And you hit a bottom in your life, and you decided that come heck or high water, you were going to get better. And I'd like you to start with coming to that bottom, and in the beginning, talk about the pre-admission and the steps that you took to get to those, because you hear people, I couldn't get a ride and I couldn't get this. I don't know how many kilometers that you rode your bike, sometimes in the rain, to get there for a pre-admission meeting, but she did. And so welcome to the program, and just introduce yourself to the viewers with your story.
Okay, thank you, Glenn. Well, I got in September of '98. I guess the light went on, the light switch went on, and I realized what a mess my life had become, and I reached out for help. I went to my parents and my family doctor, and they made arrangements for me to go into a rehab center. And until it was time for me to actually go into the residential program, they had pre-admission meetings. And as Glenn talked about, the pre-admission meetings were on one side of the Hamilton Mountain, and I was on the other side. And there was one particular morning where it was pouring down rain, and I had just gotten to such a place in my life that I knew I needed help, and so I got on my bike and I rode to the pre-admission meeting, and from what I understand, there were people there that just couldn't get over the fact that I was just so willing to do that in order to get to that meeting. That anyway, I went into the treatment program, and it was in there that you and I met, and
I had already gone through. I was about a year into being clean and sober, and a 12-step group and aftercare happened in the same building on different nights, on Mondays and Wednesdays. And I loved going back up to the treatment center, because it was my new safety zone.
Sure.
I loved being there. And Colleen was just coming through the treatment center, and that's when a mutual friend introduced us.
That's right.
Yeah, actually, I think the first time you really saw me was when I was getting my 1-year medallion.
I think so.
And with Rudy presenting it to me.
Yes, that's right.
And I sobbed like a little baby because I was so grateful.
Yep. Yep, absolutely.
Continue.
So anyway, it was during that time that I went through the rehab and I came out. I wound up relapsing probably about 6 weeks after I had left the rehab center. I went back out for about 10 days, I think it was, and I woke up at the end of the bender and I just realized that I didn't want to be living like that anymore, and it was at that moment that I finally just said enough's enough, and I started going to meetings, and I started my faith. My faith is a big part of my recovery, and that really took shape and really took hold at that point, and my heart really began to change. And I often say that when I was in my addiction, I wasn't just addicted to the drugs and the alcohol. I was also addicted to the lifestyle. But for the first time in my life, when I started going to these meetings and as my faith walk grew, my heart really began to change. And
When you say you're addicted to the lifestyle, was that because it was fun?
yes, yes.
Because that's important. People think, they talk about, I was into the drugs and the alcohol and doom and gloom and so on. But the point of it is, there's some fun involved.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And I was in my mid-20s, and a real stumbling block for me was the idea that I was never going to be able to drink again, never be able to use drugs again.
Never be able to have fun again.
Never be able to have fun again. Exactly. And that was a big stumbling block. And like you said, it was fun. I mean, I liked going to the bars. I liked going to parties. I loved that whole thing, and it wasn't really until the last year that things really went the doom and gloom and really went down the toilet.
Let me ask you this. We have to break in just a second, but I want to ask you this before we go to break, because it's really important in early recovery for anyone to hear. We're going to get into the postpartum and the depression side of this.
Yes.
But what I want to touch on that's really important is when you first came into recovery. And I know what I felt like, and I know what the people who are watching, what they felt like. What was it like to all of a sudden have to deal with your feelings without self-medicating?
Yeah. Well, it was very overwhelming. I mean, all of a sudden this perfectionism, and I'm a very critical thinker and problem solver, I was just all I could see left, right, and center was places where I was wrong, and just needing to control the things around me, and when I was using the drugs and the alcohol, that really masked everything. My motivation for life went out the window, and I didn't really care what went on around me.
Do you think there was any point that you felt safe, though, when you were doing the drugs?
Let's ponder that one, because I do have to take a break.
Yeah.
When we come back, I want to get into the recovery, and then having all of a sudden, as you're going along, tickety boo, marriage, child, and
life,
and then all of a
Yes.
sudden postpartum depression sets in, and
Yep.
and how the steps of recovery and what you learned in recovery and your walk in your faith, and how all that helped you to follow and do as you're told by your doctor and women's health concerns in Hamilton. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, your phone calls, please get on the line now with your line up the calls now, because when we come back, we're going to finish off the story, and then we're going to go right to your phone calls. You're watching Living Clean. Stay tuned.
Are you struggling with an addiction? At Bellwood, we provide treatment for problems with alcohol, drugs, gambling, sexual addiction, and eating disorders. Our goal is to get you back on track with your job, your family, your life. We're just a phone call away. Call Bellwood Health Services now to schedule a confidential assessment. 1-800-387-6198 or visit bellwood.ca. Bellwood Health Services. Discover the freedom of being well.
Is someone else's drinking affecting your life? Does it make you feel angry?
Don't yell at me because you're mad at your mom. She's the drunk, not me.
Does it make you feel sorry for yourself?
Hey, Tanya's drinking again, and maybe next time.
Or does it even make you feel
Does
frightened?
Daddy have to drink so much?
No matter how you feel, we can help. We're Al-Anon family groups, and we know what it's like. Just call 1-888-4-AL-ANON. To help them, you have to help yourself first.
All right, huddle up, guys. If you're looking for a great discussion on sex, sports, and other important guy stuff, then you gotta check out The Edge on Good News Sports. Each week, host Glenn Allan, the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, and the zany Drew Marshall are joined by special guests like former Maple Leaf Mark Osborne and Rough Rider head coach Kent Austin. The Edge on Good News Sports, real TV for real men.
Moods Magazine is all about healthy living through understanding. Moods Magazine addresses depression, anxiety, addictions, bipolar disorder. We talk about healthy living, balancing your life, both at work and at home. Moods Magazine, available in Chapters and Indigo stores across Canada, also available by subscription. Visit www.moodsmag.com.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Living Clean. Glenn Allan, Colleen Allan, and Mark Laing. Tonight we're talking about addiction and depression, in particular postpartum depression. So especially with the ladies out there this evening, if you have gone through postpartum depression and you'd like to share your story of recovery, if you're struggling in that, by all means, please call in and talk to Mark. And you don't have to be addicted to anything. I mean, if you're anyone watching that has gone through postpartum and you'd like to talk to Mark or Colleen, by all means, please call in. If you want to talk about alcohol, drugs, or gambling, you're more than welcome to call in and ask those questions. And the lines are starting to fill up right now. So when we do get you on the line, just get your point, please, and ask your question. And if you have a story to tell, we'd love to hear it as well. Colleen, you're in a position where you're getting clean and sober. Mm-hmm. You've gone through treatment. You're going to meetings. You're going to aftercare. Unfortunately, you bump into me, and we meet and we start dating. And shortly thereafter, I propose. We get married. And after we come home from the honeymoon, a few weeks later, we go to the doctor and find out that
baby number one's on the way.
Baby number one is on the way.
Yes.
Baby number one, 9 months later, is I know that much. Baby number one is born, and all of a sudden you're clean and sober, but all of a sudden you're faced with a whole new illness, if you will. Mm-hmm. And why don't you, really quickly, because we want to get to the phones, but
absolutely, just
talk about that. You're in recovery, things are going along pretty good, and all of a sudden you get slammed from left field.
Exactly. Well, with what happened with me, it was I came home from the hospital, and I was I just remember being really first and foremost totally exhausted and totally overwhelmed, and walking around with this feeling, this anxiety in my stomach, and just going around in a fog. It felt like sometimes hopelessness, frustration. All of these things started to really overwhelm me, and I couldn't understand what was going on with me, because at that point I had been in recovery for 3 years to the day. That's right. That Ashley was born, and I couldn't understand what was going on, and of course the perfectionism started playing into it as well, because I wanted to be the perfect mom. I wanted to do everything exactly right, and I was thinking, what is wrong with me that I'm feeling like this? What kind of a mother am I? And there was I was incredibly ashamed of the way that I was feeling, and I hid it for a while. But eventually it became too obvious.
Well, they said the symptoms started to manifest themselves.
Exactly.
And at one time, it happened when I was there. And I was just like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, what's that all about?
Yeah.
And then a couple of other things that had happened before, all of a sudden Colleen was open and honest with me. And we talked, and all of a sudden, some other things that had happened before lined up. And I'm going, okay, well, we agreed, like, okay, well, let's go to see the doctor and talk. And it was the willingness, the same willingness that Colleen came into the program of recovery with. She went into getting help for the postpartum depression. We went in together. We made the appointment, made sure the support was there. And the thing I want to get across this evening was just how well and how willing Colleen went into Women's Health Concern Clinic at St. Joe's in Hamilton.
Good for you.
And how great they were.
Yeah.
How great a program that is. And later on, the Health Network came calling to them and said, we want to do something on postpartum. Do you have a patient that would be willing to talk to us and that you would want to have on? And they said that Colleen was the poster child for coming through and doing as she was told, just like recovery taught her to. And she got better. And you worked hard. She worked her tail off. And she did everything that she was supposed to. And that's one thing I didn't want to get lost in the whole birth of Ashley. The hard work that Colleen put in to recovery, and us getting married, and we planned our wedding ourselves. We did it. It was just two of us, and we had friends and all that, but it was we planned it. We chose to do it that way, and family would have loved to have helped out, but as the control thing with me, and we'll talk about that later. But Ashley was born 3 years to the day that Colleen got clean and sober. And we just thought that was such a gift from God, just such a blessing. And so the postpartum came into our lives, slapped Colleen out of left field, but it was that willingness. I know as a counselor, as a therapist, you say you have to be willing to do as you're told.
Absolutely. I mean, I get calls frequently from, because it tends to be the guys that don't want to come for counseling, okay? But, not always, but it tends to be. And I'll get wives who will call me and say, well, my marriage is in a shambles, my husband won't come, what's the use in coming? And it's like, well, you need to come because you're still in the marriage and you're having difficulty. And so it's important, but you can lead a horse to water, you can't make them drink, and if somebody's not ready, they're not ready, and sometimes they have to hit the bottom. Sometimes they have to walk a tough line before they are willing to say, I need to do something. But with postpartum depression too, I mean, our wives are different products between carrying a child and, within the next 24 to 48 hours after delivery, it's like one great big letdown, like a drug letdown, really. Because all these hormonal balances that were there to maintain the pregnancy now just drop. In 24 to 48 hours, there is this huge drop, 10 times, of progesterone, estrogen, just to name the most popular ones, and they drop. And it's no different than like a crack cocaine drop, because...
And they're sending them home.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the other part.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then the hospital's kicking them out while they're in the
And in
state.
a first-time mom situation, that can be really difficult. Especially, you stop and think, the reality today of how many moms are out there who are single moms, and how many of those single moms come from homes where she's gotten pregnant and mom and dad have turned their back and said, we want nothing to do with you, you horrible person, you've gotten pregnant out of wedlock, and she is now being released into a very, very cold, cruel world. And she's sore, she's having the hormonal drops,
Isolated.
isolated, and you're
That's
looking
huge.
for an unbelievable mix there.
Let's go to the phone lines. We're going to go out east. We're going to go to St. John for Sharon on line 4. Hi, Sharon. How are you? Sharon, you there?
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
Hi. I was just listening to your program. I watch you all the time.
Thank you.
I'm so happy for you, Colleen.
Thank you.
And I've had a hard life. I've did cocaine, and, but I'm still going through it. Depression is a lot of my problem. And I'm on drugs for depression. It's not working, so why am I on them? But I got to tell you that I was on cocaine for 3 years. I stopped completely on my own. I never had to go to rehab.
Good for you.
I decided that was it. So that's one great thing that I went through. But it's depression, anxiety, depression. I can't live with it.
Go ahead.
Sharon, how long have you been taking meds for the depression?
15 years.
And so by this point, you've probably tried them all at this point, I would think.
Yes, I have.
Okay. And can you tell me what was it that you were officially diagnosed with? Was it, do you know what kind of depression?
No, just anxiety.
Okay. So
I had a lot of anxiety.
Okay. So with anxiety, they tend to prescribe one of the what we call the PAM drugs, lorazepam, clonazepam. They have a sedative effect, and the idea is, I'm edgy, I'm full of energy, and I don't know what to do with it. Yeah. My mind won't stop, and so I'll give you something that kind of just makes everything wonderful. The problem is that tolerance for people with anxiety can build very quickly, and these PAM drugs don't have the staying power. For some people it does, but like any drug, you can't look at somebody and say, well, this is the drug for you.
Yeah.
And you know what works for you might not work for me. So, Sharon, I can tell you this much. 15 years of trying the different drugs. Do you have any moments where you see things or hear things that other people don't see or hear?
I probably do.
Okay.
I daydream a lot. Like my eyes just focuses on one thing, and then my mind goes wild.
Okay.
And
do you ever find yourself talking faster than normal?
yes,
Okay. Do you find yourself getting much less sleep than usual and not really missing it?
yes,
Okay. Have you ever been given a drug called lithium?
no.
Okay.
That's one. I've tried them all.
Okay.
One I haven't tried.
Okay. And I'm not diagnosing you here, but based on what you're telling me, it sounds very much like bipolar depression. And if that's the case, if you've just been given antidepressants by your family physician, many times we find, certainly in our experience of dealing with people, is they're just given what the drug rep says. Here, take Wellbutrin, take Effexor, so on and so forth. There's over 60 drugs that are used for dealing with mood disorders, and there are over 100 official diagnoses for kinds of depression. So it's not an easy task, first of all. But if you are bipolar and you're being given drugs that deal with just a general depression, it can plunge you into either a deeper depression or it can plunge you into the mania part where you're going to be really busy and want to do all kinds of stuff. Have you ever been seen by a psychiatrist for the purpose of meds? Not because you've had some breakdown and you had to go to the hospital, but just your family physician referred you to psychiatry?
I asked him, and he said I didn't need it.
Okay. Insist that you do need it.
I'm going to see a doctor tomorrow.
Uh-huh.
This is really why I wanted to phone in.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I want to do.
Yeah.
Is see a psychologist, not a psychiatrist.
Okay. The psychologist cannot prescribe the meds. And that's the unfortunate part with a psychologist. He can tell you what kind of depression you have, and you might need that. But on top of it, you'll need the appropriate meds. And, I'm not trying to slam the family physicians. They do a really good job. But when it comes to mood disorders, this is a really big task. And understanding how limited their training is in psychiatry during med school and stuff, it's big.
Yeah.
So please, Sharon, don't give up. And insist on seeing psychiatry to get an appropriate diagnosis, and I think you might find some change in your life.
Okay. Thanks very much for the call, Sharon. And just before we go to the break, I just want to, I'm going to take one more call before we go to the break. I also want to make mention that we have a website, livingclean.ca. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Livingclean.ca. And one of the posts that I talked a little bit about this subject on the website. And Samantha, who watches, who does a lot of posting on the website from Manitoba, a lot of great information. Samantha and Bill, her husband, just you guys, so much knowledge that they add to the interactive website that we have, and the groups and the forums and all that. But one of the things Samantha wanted me to make mention, I want to throw it over to you, and then we'll go for a break, and then we'll go back to the phones after that. But when dealing with depression, especially depression, and I know, Colleen, this is a big part for you too, and really quickly, both of you. Medication's one thing. So important, though, to have either meetings, to have counseling. There's more to it than just getting medicated, and I know that really helped you.
Absolutely. With me, with my depression, it was issues-based surrounding my perfectionism, mental health issues in my childhood from my parents' side of things, and just dealing with that, and dealing with the sort of the contributing factors that led to the mindset that I had, that I think opened me up to depression, and also I combine that with the medication that I'm on today, which just makes a huge difference. It slows the thoughts down and helps me to cope.
Did you find when the meds started working, did you find yourself thinking to yourself, wow, so this is what the rest of the world feels like?
Yes, and the other thing that I felt was, boy, was I depressed.
Yes.
I didn't realize just how depressed I was.
And how long you'd been depressed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, yes.
I traced it back just around when she met me.
Yeah, go figure, right?
No, I'm not trying to make light. I just...
No.
But anyway, that's really important.
Sadness. That's not depression, buddy. Remember we were making that distinction earlier.
I know. But no, not to minimize anyone who's watching or sharing or anyone like that, but it's very important.
Sure it is.
That there's a lot of help out there, and it's just not about meds. There's a lot more to it. And
you describe that nature-nurture idea. The nature, we deal with the meds. The nurture part are the groups, the talking, the friendships,
exactly.
the diet, all kinds, the sleep hygiene, all the things that go into treating it, that you put them all together. No one tool, is going to do it, but you put all the tools in the toolbox, and you're ready to fix the motor.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have to take this break before Jeff comes in here and kills me. Again, livingclean.ca. The forum talks about its addictions and depression, and I posted, Samantha posted. So if you want to go to livingclean.ca and even start posting on there now, that would be great. And we have to take this break. When we come back, I promise we're just going to go right to the phones, and it'll be your night for the last half hour of the program. You're watching Living Clean. Please stay tuned.
Is someone else's drinking affecting your life? Does it make you feel angry?
Don't yell at me because you're mad at your mom. She's the drunk, not me.
Does it make you feel sorry for yourself?
Hey, Tanya's drinking again, and maybe next time.
Or does it even make you feel
Does
frightened?
Daddy have to drink so much?
No matter how you feel, we can help. We're Al-Anon family groups, and we know what it's like. Just call 1-888-4-AL-ANON. To help them, you have to help yourself first.
All right, huddle up, guys. If you're looking for a great discussion on sex, sports, and other important guy stuff, then you gotta check out The Edge on Good News Sports. Each week, host Glenn Allan, the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase, and the zany Drew Marshall are joined by special guests like former Maple Leaf Mark Osborne and Rough Rider head coach Kent Austin. The Edge on Good News Sports, real TV for real men.
Moods Magazine is all about healthy living through understanding. Moods Magazine addresses depression, anxiety, addictions, bipolar disorder. We talk about healthy living, balancing your life, both at work and at home. Moods Magazine, available in chapters and Indigo stores across Canada, also available by subscription. Visit www.moodsmag.com.
Are you struggling with an addiction? At Bellwood, we provide treatment for problems with alcohol, drugs, gambling, sexual addiction, and eating disorders. Our goal is to get you back on track with your job, your family, your life. We're just a phone call away. Call Bellwood Health Services now to schedule a confidential assessment. 1-800-387-6198 or visit bellwood.ca. Bellwood Health Services. Discover the freedom of being well.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Living Clean. Glenn Allan, Colleen Allan, Mark Laing.
That's me.
Yeah, it was Mark Allan, but it didn't work.
Okay.
I was going to say something.
No.
We're going to start, I believe it's line 4. We're going to go to Debbie. Debbie on line 4. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing? Go ahead, please.
Excellent. I've been in recovery for 9 years.
Good for you.
Right. I went in on my own. I just did the meetings, and I was very, very fortunate that I met up with people that helped me and made me understand. The first slogan I picked up on was live and let live.
Sure.
So I realized that I wasn't the perfectionist. I didn't control the earth, and I couldn't control anyone around me.
Yeah.
So for the viewers just going into recovery and trying to make sense of everything and trying to let go of things and just concentrate on yourself.
Yep.
And yeah, I'm really happy to say that my last bout of depression was 9 years ago.
Yeah.
Way to go.
That's great.
It took me the time to sober up and dry out my brain and realize that I was a good person.
Yep.
And I was good to people, and the alcohol just made me a nasty, nasty person. And I feel life is so much easier to face every day without a hangover. And wondering what you did the night before.
Yes.
That was always my biggest fear.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember, and I just prayed that the world didn't remember. But I love your show.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. And
Thank you.
anyone just coming into it, into recovery or thinking about it, this is a bad season, right? But once you get your first sober Christmas, you'll never want to miss another one.
Yeah, absolutely. Debbie, that's sound like you're a very wise lady. And I hope that you go to livingclean.ca as well, because there's so many people there that contribute, but there's also a lot of people there who are asking questions. You know, and I know somebody just posted today, early recovery. Yeah. And we're going to be touching on that in the next couple of weeks. What was early recovery like, and the different things that you go through, and what worked for you, what were obstacles and stuff like that. So we're going to be...
I just want to also endorse just the idea of Living Clean, going to that website, because there's the information, but there's the forums and stuff. I mean, it's such a wonderful place to have a voice, and a voice amongst people who are there, been there, done it. And so there's that grand support. If you've never gone, go check it out. It's worth the time, to look.
Yeah, and not only that, it's you have the opportunity to be interactive and keep your anonymity. And also there's the resource page. So you can go on, and there's, Bellwood, Newgate 180, and Homewood, all the different places. I mean, Bellwood has a 24/7 1-800 number. Yeah. You can go to our website and go to the resources and click on and get that. We're going to go to Ottawa. Bob is on line 2. Bob, how you doing?
Yes, I came across a very interesting report on 60 Minutes tonight.
Okay.
I am celebrating just earlier this week. Last Monday, I celebrated 3 years.
Good for you.
And I got my medallion from being dry from alcohol. And I had a drug of choice back until 2003. But there are crack addicts. I've never been into crack or methamphetamines or anything. But I suffer from what is called, more or less, it's not a socio-physiological, but it's more of a neurophysiological anxiety. And I've been on Valium like twice a day, and then temazepam to get to sleep because I'm a chronic, like the family doctors got me on that because I'm a chronic. It goes back to some pretty rough stuff that went on when I was 5 years old at Christmas time between drinking parents.
Yes.
And I got very, very upset and traumatized by that. But what happened is that this particular bond broker who's retired from that now. He instigated turning in a lot of junk bond dealers and so he got into business, and it's called ProMeta. And these people that take it, it's like they don't need these drugs anymore.
Really?
And it's sort of like a mixture between flumazenil and also let's see, yeah, it's also made of. Let me just check it out here. It's I just got it on my DVR, so I'm just going to back it up and read it to you.
Okay, really quickly.
Yeah, it's okay. It's playing games with me here. Here.
Well, you know what? What I'm going to do, Bob, I thank you very much for the phone call. What I'm going to do, Bob, if you would, go to livingclean.ca and do a post. And that way people can read about it. And maybe you can even throw a link on there so that people can go and read that. I really appreciate that. I guess they're really coming out with a lot of different things.
There are a lot of things. The other thing, too, because you've got some people with, especially anxiety, some of the meditation things that are coming out now, and what they call binaural beats and so on, are really showing some interesting promise for people. And there's a company, if you just do a Google for HoloThink, HOLOTHINK, and they have a program there, this group of CDs, I don't know, it's like a couple $100 for them, and they have really showed a way of balancing the brain. And when you look at the brain chemistry that's involved, I won't bore you with it here, but
thanks.
It makes it makes a lot of sense why it should work. Now, it's not going to work for everybody, but you know, if you've been through the meds, or your body doesn't like the meds, or you feel like a zombie on the meds, it might be well worth your while to look at some of these alternative forms of help. And I think you might be very happy. There are other ones out there that offer kind of the same idea. I would probably suggest, and no, I don't get any money for endorsing this, I would probably suggest to stay with HoloThink. I know it's a little more expensive than the others, but they've got a track record where the others don't.
You know, one of the things, I haven't really talked about this on this program, I think I mentioned it once before, but there was I had some dealings with Edgardo Perez, the chief of staff out at Homewood, and I was talking to him. I have sleep apnea, and apparently the setting on my machine was wrong, and I went through a year of sleep deprivation. But because of the symptoms, I had Rebecca DiFilippo on, had been on, Edgardo and Ron Ellis were on, and I just inundated with all these, the top 10, and I'm checking off 8 of them. And so I called Edgardo, and he had me go see Beth Reed. But just before I went to see Beth Reed, I went and got a new machine for my sleep apnea. 2 nights later at the proper setting, I'm feeling much better, and blah, 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 blah. And that's where Edgardo and Beth figured out that, they said, has anyone ever told you that you're ADD? I said, no. I said, no.
What's your name?
Yeah, where am I? And, but after that, I started feeling better. But then it was a short time after that, I came to Colleen and I said, you know what? I can't sleep, and I can't stop my mind. Like, it just won't stop. I can't sleep. And I was really fortunate because I called my doctor, I called my EAP, and I utilized my EAP. I utilized all the tools. And it was a little bit, I'll be honest, it was a little bit difficult because I'm going, I'm calling people to be guests and all that. Now I got to call and reach out and say, I'm not feeling right. And I couldn't, like I said, I couldn't get my mind to stop. And I called my EAP. I had an appointment, called my family doctor. And I was really fortunate because the med that they put me on worked. And all you have to do is ask Colleen.
Yes.
From the time I started that to today, you look back over, it's been night and day. Because all of a sudden, Glenn's pericomo. I'm more relaxed.
I keep on getting that picture of SCTV doing that.
But it's true. But there's also the stigma, the discrimination, not the discrimination factor, but the stigma. And I was caught, and I actually thought maybe I shouldn't call because I'm doing this program, and you get caught doing that. The health professionals, that go through. A lot of people know that you're a counselor, but you're also somebody who is being treated.
Well, I know when we've talked before. I mean, I'm bipolar. I take Cipralex, have for, quite a number of years now. And that's why I said to you, when you found the med, did you find yourself saying, so wow, this is what the rest of the world feels like? Because you've been so used. It's like being colorblind and just not recognizing that there's green or red or something, that it's just isn't that how everybody does it?
But when you said that before, that's when I thought, I'm going to have to bring that up tonight, because it was an eye-opener for me. And going, you mean, but it was 10, I was about 9 years clean and sober, and that happened. It was like, man.
But you also raise another thing here, and that's the balance. I mean, the meds are great, and they serve a purpose. But, for example, you raise, the whole area of sleep hygiene. And sleep hygiene, I mean, if you're not sleeping at night, I don't care who you are, you're going to get depressed and anxious.
Absolutely.
Just because you're
Irritable.
not sleeping.
I was a little irritable, wasn't I?
Oh,
a little irritable.
The other one is exercise. Exercise is terrific, unless you have what's called a driven depression. Many long-distance runners, for example, have what's referred to as a driven depression. They could run and run all flipping day, and but it's driven. But if you don't have that kind of a depression, and because you're talking about you being very list-oriented and so on and so forth, it might be dangerous for you in that sense. But it doesn't negate the value of exercise. But more and more research is coming out when the endorphins kick in, and we're seeing other biochemicals involved. It does have a huge, huge effect on it. So for those of you who are thinking, man, do I always have to stay on the meds? Well, how are you sleeping? What are you doing exercise?
You know what? It's really true, because I said to Colleen, I was playing hockey on Wednesday nights, and the drive home, like I'm ready. I can't wait to get up, the next morning and go to the gym. I can't. It's that having a good workout and having the good ride to the gym, having a good just a knockdown, good workout. And coming home, it's great. And then you have a long day, and then you go, I really don't feel like going there.
Yeah, I know.
But once you get there and doing it, so again, it's that pattern. And I slip in and out of that, because I'll go like stink, and then I drop off. And then so it's a discipline that I have to, for me, I have to get the discipline.
Well,
and that's
fitness is not a happy word for me. And I don't think it is for a lot of guys either. I mean, I don't like exercise. I hate it. But, you know what I'm doing right now.
Yeah, you're in the John Savitas boot camp.
I'm doing John's thing, and I'll tell you, if you live in the Hamilton area, I mean, you're talking to a guy who, is bipolar. It has helped the depression. I know it has. And
just if you have John Savitas' Lean and Fit, just throw that up there for the people that are in this area. But it's true.
It is, I would
just
highly
Just
recommend.
boot camp.
and if you come, you get to watch me, and you can point and laugh too, but it is great, and I agree. Because we go after work, and it's like, I'd rather just go home and watch television. But you go, it's only half an hour, which is great, because I have fitness ADD. You just can't keep my attention that long. And my wife, she loves exercise, and she could exercise for a couple hours.
Yeah.
And he has me like, oh man,
But John makes it interesting, doesn't he?
Oh, he does.
Yeah. I lost, on that program, I lost 33 pounds in 10 weeks.
Yeah, and it really increased your energy level too. All of a sudden, it was just didn't feel like just sitting around on the couch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I wasn't a pop on the couch.
And they're encouraging, they're positive. It's when we say boot camp, they're not standing over you, calling you, move it, you worm.
John did to me. Anyway, we have to get back to the phones. We're going to go to Selena in Sudbury, line 6. Hi, go ahead, please.
Hello.
Hello, go ahead, please.
Hi, how are you? I just have a little bit. I have a question.
Sure.
My question is just how I'm gonna let you go the situation, and I've been cleaning for a while today.
Okay.
I have a very big problem to let you go the situation.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a problem for addiction for alcohol and drugs.
Yes.
And I've been cleaning a little bit for a while, and now I have a difficulty in my brain. I cannot have a difficulty like sleeping. I can see the things, and situation. I don't know how I'm gonna help with that.
Like a hallucination?
Yeah. I have a problem at night sleeping.
Oh, at sleep.
And I can see the things because it's cleaning or what, I don't know.
DTs.
How long have you been clean?
It's a couple of months now.
Couple of months?
Couple of months, okay. And, sorry, Celine, you were also abusing drugs?
Yes, I do.
What kind of drugs?
Crack cocaine, alcohol.
Okay, that's what I was figuring. With crack cocaine attaches to the endorphin.
Yeah.
And that's why the drop in a crack cocaine high is such a dramatic drop. So your body is essentially readjusting right now to not getting that. Okay, so DTs, yeah, it'd be kind of a form of that. Celine, there are some anti-anxiolytics that probably could be very helpful for you, like even Paxil might be something that would be worth your while, or Wellbutrin.
Let me ask you this, Celine. Have you talked to your family doctor at all?
I've never been to the doctor, never take any kind of medication.
Right. I think it's time to go talk to them, Celine, because this period, as you're coming out of the addiction, this is a really critical time for you. And if it gets too hard for you, you're probably going to just give up. When we talk about the way, 3, 6, 9, 12 months after any decision to give up any addictive substance, these are the benchmarks of relapse. And, so I really want to, congratulate you and encourage you in the very notion that you're ending this. But there's no shame in reaching out and asking, hey, I need some help. Also, just even groups up in your neck of the woods that might be able to sit down and talk with you and be able to relate with you. But the med part, I don't think necessarily that you'd have to stay on the med for the rest of your life, but it will help you get through a very difficult time. And if you're not sleeping well at night, that symptomology would be enough to cause you to relapse.
And one of the things that, too, Celine, that you might want to do, I don't know if you're going to any meetings out there, and I want to thank you very much for your phone call, but there's something else that I know, Sudbury, you can maybe stop by the hospital or the detox center and go in and talk to somebody there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that you'd find some support there.
I know there's things in Sudbury.
Yeah, absolutely. Go down to the detox center or the hospital and talk to them about what you're going through, and I'm sure that they can get you hooked up with the appropriate professional care. We're going to go right back to the phones. One of the things I want to talk about with Colleen, and just so that the viewers understand too, because we got married and we had Ashley. The postpartum came in. 16 and a half months later, you had Brandon.
Right.
We had Brandon. Well, you had Brandon. And then shortly thereafter, you went through a miscarriage.
That's right.
We went through a miscarriage.
That's right.
And that was something else. You're coming out of the postpartum, and then all of a sudden, you have another baby, and then very shortly thereafter, I don't know how long it was before we got pregnant again, and the miscarriage hit, and I had no idea I was going to react the way I did. I was just totally blown away. I mentioned to Mark before, I was coming home from a hockey game. I was on the 403, and all of a sudden, I just broke into tears. And I told Colleen that, and I just kind of went, wow. But and then it was a little while thereafter we had Christopher. Christopher's 17 months old now. But for the viewers, you've worked hard. You've worked your tail off.
Thank you.
And as I said at the beginning of the program, you're my hero. You inspire me to keep doing what I'm doing because I saw how hard Colleen worked. And, I do this program, but we're a team. I might be a face out here on Living Clean, but I tell you, when I'm talking about different topics or different guests and all that, Colleen's right there with me.
I don't think you and I have ever had a discussion where you haven't talked about your wife at least once.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? It's it's just the reason why I worked so hard is because I was blessed with you and blessed with the kids, and not to turn all mushy-gushy or anything like that.
We're going to hold hands and sing Kumbaya.
I want to make new drapes for the kitchen right now.
But you know, But you know what? I was at a point, and it was the same thing with the drugs and the alcohol as it was with the depression. I got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I just did not want to feel like that anymore. And I was willing to do whatever it took to get out of that pit.
Yep.
So.
And you know, the other thing, we were talking about this before the program, is shortly, well, when we decided that we were going to get married, we decided to quit smoking.
Yes.
We decided as a team, we decided we were going to...
That must have been interesting to watch you guys make decisions. I said the white paper.
Turned into Bobcat Goldthwait, I think, for a little while. But, you know, and I know you're 4 weeks without a cigarette.
4 weeks, yeah.
Way to go.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So I'm a happy camper.
Yeah, great. Let's go back out to Ottawa. Bill's on line 4. Hey, Bill, how you doing?
Hi, Glenn. How you doing?
Very well, thank you. Go ahead, please.
Try to catch the show every week. I've been in recovery for almost 2 years now.
Good for you.
I've been battling depression probably for about 20 years.
Yep.
I've never been properly diagnosed. I don't know what type of depression. I've been medicated for 15 years, taken Effexor, Zoloft, Prozac, Celexa, and Paxil. And I do work out. I go yoga, and I do have sleep apnea. Tried the machine for a while. Tried 3 different masks. Couldn't get used to it. I'd find the mask at the end of the bed. I'm going to have to try and find something to deal with that. But the thing, my question is this. I went to the Royal Ottawa a couple of weeks ago to the mood disorder clinic there, and they basically had me in and out in 10 minutes telling me that they couldn't do anything for me. I talked to a psychiatrist there.
Really?
And I'm just wondering if you guys have any contacts, if you know of anybody up in this way about, you know, that I can talk to, a specialist in depression and stuff, because I'm getting a little concerned about it. And
Well, one other thing, I don't know if Mark knows anything. I'm not real familiar with Ottawa, but I know I have some friends in Merrickville. The place is called Newgate 180, and if you go to livingclean.ca on our resource page, you can click onto them and get their 800 number, and give Jeff Norbury a call, because Jeff's tapped into everybody, and they're opening up a women's facility in Ottawa. So I know that they're going to be tied in and tapped in with people up in that area. So that's what I know. Do you know?
Yeah, no, I think Norgate would probably be a appropriate place to begin the search. I mean, the other possibility is just talking to your family physician and saying, you know, I need a referral to a psychiatrist, but I want somebody that, you know, specializes in mood disorders, because you know, you go to the guy who's, you know, used to seeing 90% schizophrenics or personality disorders, you know, he's a different mindset than somebody who deals with mood disorders.
Okay, so Bill, go to the website livingclean.ca, hit our resource page, and go to Newgate 180 and click on that, and you'll get the information, and give Jeff a call tomorrow. Okay, buddy? Thanks very much for the call. Really quickly, we're under 2 minutes. Mike in Toronto, line 5. Mike, how you doing?
I'm good.
Go ahead, please. You got about a minute. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm confused when medications is needed as opposed to, I have a chronic pain syndrome. I had a tumor and several other 2 spinal surgeries, and I started with a tumor and a fusion, which was the major part.
Sure.
And there was 2 more after that. Anyway, it was supposed to be 1 surgery. The point is, I don't know. Like, I needed it. I used to have burning fingers from the fusion. I had felt like a knife in my neck from the tumor, and I was cut off almost all these high-level narcotics, and obviously I didn't feel that great. And I blacked out. I don't know why I blacked out, but the point is, how do you know if you need them for, like, you know, medical reasons, or is it needed, or if it's an addiction? That's the confusion I have. Because
Okay, well, you bring up a really good point. If we can we put Mike back on hold, please? Because in order to answer this question properly in depth, we're going to have to talk to Mike after the program. Can you touch on it in 20 seconds?
Well, yeah. I mean, the question is asking is, you know, am I addicted to it, or do I need this? A very hard line to walk on that part, because we got to now look at lifestyle, and there's a series of questions that, you know, you'd have to go through to find out, you know, is this something that he needs physiologically, or is this something he needs neurologically?
Okay, and we'll talk to you a little bit off the air about that. Okay, Mike? Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Colleen and Mark, for being on the program. Good night.
Good night.